Today we are going to begin our first real project in Scratch. We are going to take our name and animate it, which means that we're going to take all the letters of our name and we're going to make those letters all do something different so that when we click the run button, in this case it's a green flag, when we click that green flag, all of the letters should do something cool or crazy or kind of whatever you would like them to do. So let's first set up our project, and then I'm going to show you how to animate those letters. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring up our browser here. And I've gone ahead and gone right to scratch.mit.edu. That link is provided for you as well, but you can also type it in right here at the top to get there. Remember that you created your own username and password, so we're going to sign in and make sure that you have the correct account that you're logged into, because we want to make sure that your work is saved. Once the program has gone ahead and signed you in, you'll see a lot of different projects, but we're going to come up to a create option up at the top so that we have a brand new project to start with. Now, before we can start animating our name, we're going to actually get our name onto the workspace. Each letter of your name, and you can choose your first or last, is going to be a sprite. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to close out of this tutorial, and we're going to start by first trashing and getting rid of this sprite, the cat. We don't need it. So we're going to come down to where the sprites are at, and we'll push the trash can here to get rid of it. Now we have no sprites on our page. So we're going to have to add a sprite, a character, a thing that we manipulate, and we're going to add a couple of them, all the letters of your name. We're going to go to choose a sprite, and then there's lots of sprites, but up at the top there are some filters that we can choose from. Once we've opened that, we are going to do a search, and we're going to search for letters. So I'm going to type the word letter in here. And then it's going to show me there's actually 3 different kinds of styles of letters that I can choose. And any one of these would work. When you put your mouse over one, you'll actually see how the letters already might have some different costumes. And that's ways that they might change throughout the way we're using them. But we're going to start by choosing some letters in your name. So you're going to go ahead and pick a letter and it will go in, and then you can go ahead and take that letter and move it around, click and drag and put it so that it's in the right order. Then we'll need to add some more sprites. So we're going to go up back to the top and we're going to add even more. I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to actually change this to be my last name instead. So I'm going to trash that one by clicking on the the trash can, and I'm going to keep adding it in. You don't have to choose the same sprite over the same kind. You can choose different ones if you wish. So go ahead and build your name using these different sprites. Okay, now I've gone ahead and spelled my name. If for some reason you don't have enough room, you're running out, a couple of options you could use. You don't have to go in a straight line if you don't want. You might choose to go diagonally. That can actually give you a little bit more room if you've got a really long name. Again, it's either your first or last name. The other thing that you can do is you can look at the sprite's characteristics down here. This characteristic tells you what the sprite name is. So when I click on this one, that's block C, I can tell the position of the sprite, the X and Y value right here. Notice that the X is a negative number. The middle of our coordinate plane is right here in the middle. And so anything to the left is negative, anything to the right is positive, or if you're talking about the Y axis, anything up is positive, anything down from the middle is negative. So I can see I have a positive Y because I'm up and a negative X because I'm to the left this way. Next, I also have what's called the size and the direction. So if my C, for instance, is a little bit too big, I need to shrink it down. It's a percentage, so maybe I try 50 in here instead, see what that looks like. Okay, it shrunk it by half as much. Or if I need to make it bigger, I could try 150, make it bigger. You can change the size without messing too much with the look of your sprite by using this size option here. I'm going to keep it at 100. Okay, now our next thing to do is learn about how each one of these sprites can change. And what I want to do is have it change whenever I use this green flag. So I should have it set up like this, and when I push that green flag, things should happen. So how does that work? Well, the first thing that we're going to do is make sure that every single one, since that was my requirement, it starts with the green flag, every single one of these sprites needs a code that will say when the green flag is pushed, start doing these things. And that code is found here where it calls for events. An event is something that happens when you do something. In this case, the very first event is when the green flag is clicked. So dragging that out there, that event of pushing the green flag will start all of these different actions. And to make sure then, that only affects C, to make sure that it affects the other ones too, I want to make sure that I click the sprite. Here's my A, and I also include it there. Remember, the code that you write is individual. It is tied to the specific sprite or letter that you're working with. So it looks like it disappears, but it doesn't, because as I go through and make sure that I've got it added, in this case, I'm going to have to create 6 different pieces of code for each one of my 6 different letters. But now that I've got that all out, I'll know that each one of these sprites will start to do something when I click the green flag. All right, so now what can we do with these individual sprites? What can we change? To go through and show you what we can actually do with these sprites, I'm going to have you use a website called Google CS First. And Google CS First is going to be a website where this is where I got this idea from. You can watch the video. I would encourage you to watch this video. It talks about creating a CS First account, and we're not going to do that. Instead, what we're going to do is look for these things down here. So each one of these is a way that you can change what's happening in your project. So one of the things that I might try is I might try to change the color. When I click on change the color here, I'll actually have a video. So, okay, thank you. And I'll watch that video, and it does a good job of explaining what that video, or like what to do. It'll show me the code that I should use, and it drags it out and says exactly like what needs to happen. And at the end, you'll see that it also includes kind of the real code. Oops, the real code that you'll want to include. So this sprite, though, says when the sprite is clicked. Remember, we've replaced that for when the green flag is clicked, because that's what I don't want to click on the individual letters. I want to click on one green flag and see everything happen in place. One of the cool things about this, too, is that this triple dot option down here can actually do a picture-in-picture if you want. And picture-in-picture would mean it'll take this video and it actually puts it down here in the corner. You can't see it right now, but it is on my screen. And when it's down here in the corner, then that means that I can actually flip on back to my project and still watch the video and see how it's working. In this case, I'm going to see how the code here tells me, oops, the code here tells me that I've got to change the color effect by 25, and actually I can also use a loop block, I believe. So let me just demonstrate real quick. If I do this and I use a loop block here, I'm going to repeat, you know what, I'm going to choose repeat forever, and I'm going to go to my looks, and it says change color effect by 25, like so, okay? All right, so now my code says that. My C should do it. Let's see what happens when I click the green flag. Whoa, look at that thing go. Cool. Clicking on the stop button will stop that code. And now I can go on and do my next letter. So I'll go back to my CS First page. I might choose something else. Ooh, a grow and shrink. Let's see how I could end up doing a grow and shrink. I've got my sprite already picked out. Looks like some sounds could be included in there, and they're going to tell me how to make it grow and shrink as well. I'm going to do each one of my letters, pick out different things to do so that when the green flag is clicked, stuff will happen, which will be pretty cool. And then, when you're all done, here's what I want you to do then. Once we have our project completed, then we need to make sure that we come up to the top and we're going to give it a name, whatever, and then save it now. And then what we'll end up doing is we're going to go over here to this folder. So once we've saved it, we'll hit that folder, And that folder is actually going to take us to a place in Scratch called My Stuff. And when we go to My Stuff, it's going to take a little bit of time to load, but this is where we get to see all of the different projects that you've done. So here's the first one you did, and now here's this one. When you click on a project and you get to say see inside of it, or actually no, don't click see inside, click right here, click where it says name and graphic like so, you get to kind of load it up and it'll show you over here what it's like. When you click that green flag, things will start to happen, which is exactly what we want. You could tell some instructions and notes in here as well, but we're also going to click on share it. So we want to share it with people so that they can see it and they can do stuff with it. Then after we shared it, we're going to come down here to where it says add to studio. Here you're going to see animate a name fast to know. We'll click it and say okay, and then that lets us see other people's work in our class. When we come up here, we'll be able to go down to where it says my class, and when we click on my class, we will see a section for studios. Let's see, here's a studio, animate a name. I'll click it open and I should see kind of other people's projects and things, which would be kind of cool. There it is right there. So you'll be able to see your classmates' work as well. So these are the things I'd like you to try. Animate your name, add it to our studio, see what other people are doing. You can click and open it up to see how they animated their name. It should be pretty fun. All right, email me if you have any questions because that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. And I look forward to seeing how you get creative with your name. Okay, that's it for today. Remember, computer science will change the world, and you get to be a part of that change.